Hello, my name is Paul Farkas, host of VOT3D IO. Sometimes news is all around us, but the highlights that you want to know about, or things you might not know, things that you should know, and things you might want to tell friends, coworkers, and family, VOT3D IO will be able to serve up that information for you. I'm host of VOT3D IO and also co-founder and publisher of Athleisure Media and Athleisure Studio.
And I'm your other co-host, Kimmie Smith, co-founder, creative and style director of Athleisure Media, and co-executive producer and host of a number of our shows on Athleisure Studio, our podcast network. Each episode, we're going to delve into VOT3D IO, a social intro and dating portal that features parties, newsletters, and our video podcast TV show for pop culture news and luxury and lifestyle. Each episode will allow you to be informed, discover, and to share with others.
From time to time, VOT3D IO will also have awards for brands demonstrating excellence in a variety of fields, including politics, political issues, luxury lifestyle, beauty, wellness, sports, fitness, travel, and style.
And we're just so excited that you guys are going to be able to see and hear this and give that great conversation and be introduced to the world of VOT3D IO.
Please enjoy this show and future ones coming down. On this episode of VOT3D IO, we'll be doing some highlights of the year in 2022, the year we all loved. But we're here. And we also will be giving out some awards of brands demonstrating excellence in their fields.
We're going to be delving into this year to talk about current events, pop culture, beauty, fitness, sports, travel, politics, wellness, style, and luxury lifestyle. We'll also share some insights into major stories. We'll also talk about what we can expect. And, we want you to be able to share this and talk about it with the VOT3D IO community. And we will get to tell you about an event that we just did with a conversation with the Bachelorette Michelle Young in our VOT3D IO virtual party.
That event was dope. Thank you, Michelle, for joining us and all the fans that tuned in as well. During that event, we had Michelle speak with Kimmie about her time on The Bachelorette and also things about her journey and what she's up to now. We also did a giveaway for fans that signed up that were over 21. And we also did a live treasure hunt,
which was a lot of fun. We learned a lot about different pop culture things. So, it seems like now that we've introduced everyone to everything, why don't we just jump into the show and go around the horn?
Let's do it.
So why don't you kick us off? So this year there was a lot of different things. One of the things I'm really excited about is the concept of VOT3D IO is taking everything that we've heard about different things and really boiling it down to like nice bitables that you can absorb and share with other people, just so that you seem like you're in the conversation. So focusing on current events, you think about all the stuff that happened in 2022. There are two items actually that I think are really awesome that our listeners and our viewers should hear about.
What are they?
Okay, so the first one is climate. Now, the climate, the environment, we're always talking about this, but there is an amazing study that's been going on about the carbon footprint and carbon sequestering, which basically takes the carbon and dissolves it. Whales, actually, scientists have studied this, are known that because they live to almost 100 years, or sometimes the oldest whale has been 200 years, they are the biggest organism that sequesters carbon. So basically, they take all that items of molecules in the air, put it into their bodies, it stores in there, and even when they pass away, they fall to the bottom of the ocean, and then they stamp out carbon, which actually can help those of us that are obviously still living walk around and have a much reduced carbon footprint. So that's a really massive thing that I can't even believe that something like that exists. But in the fight for, the environment, a lot of the animals that we live with actually help us here on land. What do you think about that?
Some of that information is new to me. I have never.
It is true. It is a huge study.
I know you could sequester a jury, but I've never heard of
carbon sequestering is a big thing. And whales, I didn't know that they could live up to 100 years. And the oldest whale has been 200 years old. So the sequestering they're able to do actually helps us for hundreds and thousands of years. So I think that's a really interesting factoid. The other part, obviously, as we are continuing into, the holiday season and going into the winter, COVID tests are actually, they're opening it back up again, that people can have their families of 4 to get free COVID tests, because we're all focusing on the fact that the severe flus, RSV and COVID-19, which they're calling a tridemic, I believe.
There.
And so with all of that going on, we did have that program where we were having free tests and they kind of took it away. They just kicked that back off again. So you can go to covidtest.org in order to make sure that you and your families or your roomies or whoever you're with has these items.
That's interesting, Kimmie.
Yes.
You know, in 2022, just like in 2020, who would think COVID would happen? And we understand that a lot of people have lost loved ones, and we understand it's very difficult to navigate these times. So we hope everyone takes time for themselves as they think about their days and weeks, and also their loved ones, and things to do and things not to do, and to really be extra safe out there. Some of the things this year for me, I was thinking about the war of Ukraine. You know, it's unbelievable to see this group of people suffer needlessly when they are savagely being waged war against. And I have learned a lot personally by watching various pieces of footage covering the war, where the people look very resilient. They're full of dignity and pride. And I really wish the best for that group of people and all peoples that are waged war against. We see that the winter months are coming, and it's going to be very difficult for them.
Very interesting.
Thank you, Kimmie.
So should we jump to the next topic?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to go into pop culture. There's so many things that took place.
Those actually were my pop culture answers. We're talking about more pop culture right now?
I was going to pop in with my two pop cultures.
All right, do it.
So
I pre-pop cultured.
Now that we're in pop culture again. So my two, I mean, there's so many to choose from, but you know, growing up in the 90s and seeing J-Lo and Ben Affleck, both like dating and almost being married, and then it was like the longest waited a wedding ever, and now the two of them being together, I think that's a big story that, you know, we're all excited about, whether, you know, you grew up in the 90s or didn't grow up in the 90s, and to see this like power couple coming together and seeing what will come of that, you know, in the future. But definitely like a good moment for everyone. I mean, the 90s have been trending in fashion, music, and everything else, so why not bring a relationship that everyone pretty much knows about? But my second pop culture of the moment is the passion for true crime, whether it is in podcast form, TV series that are serialized, like Dahmer from Ryan Murphy on Netflix, or Dateline, which is like the OG of the OG of true crime, or people who like snapped from Oxygen. The concept of the fact that we all love being like detectives, forensic scientists, and different things like that, and we all have our theories. I think that that is the most exciting trend of this season. It has been for a while. I don't know what it says about our society in many respects when we can go into such details, but it's a really cool thing that we're allowing people to kind of get into other types of sciences that maybe they wouldn't have. And it's actually increased for a lot of people, more college programs on these topics, more women, you know, in STEM that are focusing on different things like that, and really understanding more so the legal process that people may not have, you know, heard about. The idea that I can talk with someone and say, oh, I was just listening to this deposition from like the Murdochs, for example, that wasn't something that we were saying like 20 years ago. So once again, having the democratization of information where we can all just have these really casual conversations with these really big cases, I think that's an amazing thing.
Me too.
And in the realm of pop culture, you know, we were talking about the awards and the excellence. Once again, Paul, do you want to share again? Like, we're going to be popping this in like every so many topic points. So what can you tell everyone that's listening? Because this is the first one that we're going to be sharing. In the sense of, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about brands or ideology that we are giving an award to and recognizing. So do you want to expound on that? Not the actual items that are in this category, but like, why are we saying that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to speak out about brands that are doing things right and different. It's important to talk about not just price or things that are offered, but how are they impacting culture? How are they maybe offering a product that makes you feel better about yourself, that takes you beyond just the use of the product and how you look forward to it, how you miss it if it's not part of what you do, or maybe things that you might be able to give somebody to better what they do. So these are some of the things that we want to give recognition to. So maybe you'll get them, maybe you use them, maybe you'll share them with other people, but hopefully we won't steer you wrong. Hopefully our feelings about what makes a brand a positive brand or service in today's world now in 2022, hopefully that'll add some value to you.
And whether, you're watching this on YouTube or other video platforms, or you're listening to this on our podcast with the various platforms that we're on, you can always go to the show notes where we're going to have links so that you can go back, to the different things that we're talking about. So in terms of the pop culture category, I have 4 brands, ideologies that I want to be able to share with everyone. So do you want to hear who I'm recognizing? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Beach Waver. Now, Beach Waver is a beauty product, but Beach Waver, is an amazing hair care brand that was started by Sarah Potempa, who does all the different awards shows, did the Victoria's Secret fashion shows back in the day when there were those, and has a number of celebrity clientele. She came up with the most innovative curling iron that you can imagine. It basically sits on the barrel and it rotates. The barrel itself rotates and your hair never gets snagged, and it creates these beautiful curls that look just like your favorite celebrity. She has really change the game on what it means to have varying types of curled hair, having products around it. She is a braiding queen, and she is just this amazing Midwestern celebrity hairstylist who also has this brand. And so the fact that, the attainability and accessibility of being able to look like whoever your person is, or to recreate another celebrity hairstylist look, and that you can do it for yourself for your own red carpet moments, I think is a really amazing thing. I think it's also, in terms of the pop culture side, those who have listened obviously to our podcast or read our issues know that I love a good podcast. Shout out to Rich and Daily, which are 2 hosts who are on the Wondery platform, and they literally tell you about different celebrity topics. Like right now, Whitney Houston is being broken down, talking about like how did Whitney Houston become Whitney Houston, and all the stuff that's around that. And then they cover the Versace's and this one and that one, and they literally walk you through the pop culture history and kind of take you through the door to understand what's going on. Much like everyone loves true crime, we all love a good story of like a behind the music and behind the episode of types of things. So I really love that show, and those 2 girls are just hilarious. So check them out. We also, a huge thing that took place this year, Squid Game. I'm obsessed with Squid Game. There are some people who have not seen Squid Game, but life is Squid Game and Squid Game is life. I cannot wait until the 2nd season comes out, but we all were mesmerized by the concept of what if our favorite childhood game could be turned into like a true crime, eliminating people game. And so to see how all of that story came together, huge show on Netflix, so many different people like being a part of it, and we were just enthralled by it. So super exciting. And if you don't know the backstory of the creator of it, like he literally was on his last dollar when he was creating the show, and now it's like the biggest thing ever. And finally, my last one to shout out
and also, wasn't it like past for years or something?
Oh yeah, like it was like a decade. He was living out of his car. He actually sold his laptop that he created it on because he needed like the last $500, and now
wow.
like, and
that's
yet
crazy.
You watch it, like in the first episode, I was totally gripped. It's a great K-drama. It is so worth watching it. I'll probably be watching it again over the holidays. And it, as someone who
Let's watch it together.
Someone who is a sociology major, I love kind of digging into like the whys and wherefores, and seeing how, it all just comes together. And finally, the Marvel Universe. I want to shout them out. There is something so interesting and intriguing about creating this universe that not only has its movies, but has spin-offs on spin-offs. And in addition to having spin-offs, we have like the post-credit, little nugget that comes out where you see various characters combining and you can kind of follow along the lines. I think it's so interesting in the sense that maybe you're not like a Marvel fan per se, but because you happen to see, WandaVision or something else, it kind of draws you into that universe and almost creates a treasure hunt of sorts, to kind of find out how all these characters come together. So I kind of love that. Beauty. So once again, the beauty world, there was so much to happen, but one of the things I think, as opposed to talking about a certain product or whatever, the two topics that really stick out to me are personalized beauty, is number one. So much like if you're talking about supplements and different things, people are starting to take people's DNA and figuring out the type of ingredients that you need in your skincare in order to optimize your skin.
So is this beauty tech?
I guess we would call it beauty tech.
Yeah.
You know, there is a bit of hesitancy as, you know, people wonder about privacy and data and different types of things like that.
Mhm.
But in theory, the idea that by giving whatever you need to give, swabbing your mouth, whatever, that you're getting something that is created specifically for you, I
Mm.
think it's kind of intriguing. I've actually, over the last probably 4 to 6 months, have been receiving a lot of these, you know, different types of companies. And like I said,
Have you given your DNA?
I have not, because I have hesitancy, but I can appreciate that there is something like that that exists. And maybe when things are a little bit more shored up, this will be something that will happen more and more. But I like to see, you know, my background as a stylist and an accessory expert, there's been personalization, customization, and seeing how it's now rolling into other sectors. I think that's amazing. And with the beauty element, it could be interesting. I will keep watching other people who do it and catch me in 3 years to see if I actually did it myself. But yeah, I guess I would call that beauty tech. The other one is clean beauty as a category. You know, I think more and more we want to know the sustainability, the ethics behind how items are coming out. We want to know that animals aren't being utilized in order for us to have whatever it is that we need. And we really like the concept of being able to use non-traditional ingredients that come from the ground that make up our skincare, our makeup, our cosmeceuticals. So the fact that clean beauty, if you think about it, like in the 90s, you know, people kind of questioned the stability of the product and packaging and this one and that one. There are so many clean beauty products that I use on a given day, whether you're talking about something that maybe is an awesome drugstore find or a premium version or an ultra version, that I use it all the time. And so I love that we have this option and we don't have to sacrifice vanity appeal.
How many beauty products do you own, Kimmie?
I own more than you can count. And I use them all in rotation depending on what is going on. And so to those people that are in the clean beauty space, one, the people who set the trends back when it just wasn't even a thing, to the ones now that refuse to not create a product that isn't like that. And it can be done. And it can also be done with affordability in mind too, to whatever that means for your particular pocketbook. And so with that in mind, I have 4 brands that I would like to shout out in this category
Okay.
for their
What do you got?
excellence and merit. So Pharmacy Beauty, I am obsessed with this clean beauty brand. I love that, first of all, they have a melt makeup that I love. It's a balm. You put it between your hands, put it on your face. It creates that nice oil without making an oily feel. But like they have a green version that has your greens in it. They have a limited edition peach version, which I'm currently using right now. Like
Right now?
right now.
Right now?
I used it today. I used it today.
No, you have to wash it off right away?
You have to wash it off right away. So it's
So
a
not
balm.
right now.
Not right now, but you know what though? If you do use it right now, before you put your makeup on, so you use it, your face is cleansed. I like to put my serum or toner on, give 20 minutes for the face to like take it all in.
Mhm.
The fact that when you layer your primer, which primer would be the first thing you put on your face so that everything can set up on top of it, it really gives your primer something to be on, and it's just your face feels so good. So shout out to Pharmacy Beauty for, you know, finding a way to incorporate foods literally into their cosmetics.
It's pharmacy with an F.
It is Pharmacy with an F. Super fun packaging. It makes you literally feel like you're at a farmer's market, which I love that. And the brand knows that I am a massive, massive fan. The next one is Beauty Blender. Massive, massive fan. I mean, you're talking about a brand that started with sponges, and there's so many people who use their sponges. There's really, in my opinion, only one beauty sponge to use, who then has extended that to foundations, concealers, highlighters, bronzers. 65% of the makeup that I do, and yes, am I wearing it right now? I absolutely am. Bounce foundation, the Bounce concealer, as well as the Bounce highlighter, as well as all applied by various sponges. Love this brand, love the founder of the brand, love that they keep it colorful and interesting, and that they have cleansers that actually work with your sponges so that you can keep them longer. Such a fan. And always make sure that they're wet, not dry on your face. The next one is Kosas Cosmetics. Now, Kosas, interestingly enough, they kind of started around the same time when we started, all of this. And I remember when they started, they were just like lip balms because it was very sporty and whatever. They have grown so much to having a number of foundations, serums, plumpers, and once again, a clean beauty brand, wide assortment, fun colors, beautiful website to look at. It just feels like a really fun place to be when you're shopping. And they have really great packaging. And finally, Sol de Janeiro. It is another brand that is very dear to my heart. I love Brazilian Beauty. I love their Bum Bum Cream. I think their Bum Bum Cream is the best cream ever. Has the it's like a shea like quality to it, but they use capuca butter, which is based out of Brazil. And in addition to having the lotions, they also have sprays for fragrances. They have lips, hair, they have all these different types of products, always keeping it very Brazil feeling. So even when it's rainy outside and cold, you still feel like you have that warm, summery feel to it. And they are also a great a brand that I've been in love with for years and that we have shown them love for a number of years as well. And those are the four brands that I want to like shout out their excellence and merit.
So hopefully some people will try some of these, or if you know them and love them now, you could drop how you feel in the comments. And from time to time, we'll add more brands that we feel should be recognized. And we'll also give out some giveaways and incentives and other contests to make it both fun and also see if people could get some items to try out.
Mhm. So we're going to move on to fitness. I have two topics I want to shout out in fitness.
What's that?
Okay. So fitness, it's kind of interesting. During the pandemic, um, there was a whole shift because obviously a lot of us couldn't like work out in studios and you're certainly not like going to the gym doing whatever. So there was this big need for one, people to have their home gyms with their home products, which for a while was tough because people couldn't even like get the items because there was just backlogs. And then there was a rise in a lot of brands having to go to on demand and different things like that so that people could do that. And so coming out of the pandemic, everyone was like, well, what's that going to look like? So now we have the first topic, pick and mix. So pick and mix is a trend in the fitness community where many people had to realize that even though studios are open, you have to also plan for if there has to be a shutdown or maybe your particular city has like a higher instance and so they're restricting things. So allowing memberships and offerings so people can choose pick and mix between doing studio days in person and then doing different on demands or smaller group settings. So people have really started to flow out a little bit like what it means to be transitional because you don't know.
Mhm.
Or for the guest that's coming in, maybe they have their own certain circumstances. And so the leeway that people are giving so people can kind of choose their options and they call it pick and mix.
It's a good trend.
The other trend is training splits. So training splits is you have various brands who maybe they were only known for one thing, like, oh, you come to us to purchase a stationary bike. And they were always stationary bike people, but now they have a treadmill. And then they also have like yoga and this one and that one. So a lot of fitness brands that a true boutique fitness typically only follows on one methodology. But many are finding that when they make these technologies that people can have in their home, they need to make companion technologies so that it can increase the different things that people can do, but also allow a greater offering to people. And so that's been a really big trend that's been going on, now and will continue on in the years to come.
That's very cool. And for the fitness category, one of the places that we are awarding is Humming Puppy. We've been to their location, their studio, which is a magical place in New York City before. We actually shot one of our covers there with the wonderful Pooch Hall. Shout out to
Yes.
Pooch right now.
We love Pooch.
You did some funny stuff there, and we had a ball that day. And it was great coming to the set later on and to be with your son as well. We had a great time with you and your family. But Humming Puppy, not you walk in there and it's very much like a fitness sanctuary.
Yes.
Not only do you feel like a welcome member in an uncrowded studio, but they have a special musical audio frequency to help harmonize. And it's a gorgeous studio, and it's something that you could really work on your your whole mental, physical, and wellness journey by going there, and we highly recommend it.
And it's
We really happen to like the founders as well.
and it's hot yoga. So that's like another component.
Always?
Always. As I say, hot yoga studio. I am a fan, have been for a number of years. We knew of them when they were based in Australia only with 2 locations. And I always would say, if they ever come to New York, I'm there. They literally came to New York like 2 years later. I have been a longtime fan of this studio. The sound bath, which is what he was referring to, is at a very specific megahertz that matches with your heart rate and your chakra alignment. So as you work out, you have these hums that reverberate through your body that you can also feel through the heated floor, as well as like the 150-degree heat that's in the room, but very well ventilated. I know a lot of us who go to hot studios, there are varying ways that they do it, which I get that. But if you want one that you feel like you can still breathe and flow through the motions, great. And it's just a stunning, beautiful space. And as he said, the founder, Jackie Alexander, is an amazing individual, and she has a beautiful series of studios. And I know that they have a couple of other locations that have opened up, as well as you can catch them online as well.
Yep. And other awards that we gave out were also to Bala Fitness as well as
Huge fan.
Soundcore headphones.
Huge fan. And it was Hyperized too.
I was about to get to that. So you could check online at voted.io/awards, and you could read more about these and other awards that we gave out. It's VOT3D IO/events for events and /awards for the awards that we're discussing today.
Now, for sports, did you have 2 topics you wanted to talk about? Because I have 2 topics.
So. I was thinking and I was reading, and like it's 2022, and like the only thing I could think about is every time Mahomes throws footballs when he's falling down is the best highlights I could think of. What about you, Kimmie?
Okay, so my highlight is we love tennis. We earlier, a few months ago when the US Open was here, we actually got to interview some US Open players, and Carlos Alcaraz was one of the people that we interviewed, which literally was right before, like 2 days before the US Open.
Yes, thank you for your time that day.
Which was amazing. Very, sweet guy. So it was great to interview him. And then wait, he actually won. He won the US Open. And
not only did he win, but he played like 19 hours a day. So
yeah.
I mean, and he said that's just what you have to do. Not only was that super professional, but he took some grueling battles in stride, and you just kind of felt it. You kind of felt maybe it was part of interviewing him, but like just felt like it was his time, and he nailed it.
But interestingly enough, he is not the topic point I'm doing. I'm doing something related to him. So when you talk about, you were talking about Patrick Mahomes. The third. When you see him play, he's playing with a whole team of people that that those are the guys that are on the field. You don't necessarily think about the coaches, support staff, etc. And when you look at tennis players, they're out on the court on their own. You don't really think about all the staff and team that's around that person being great. So Carlos, he's number one. He won this season, et cetera, et cetera. His coach just won ATP Coach of the Year, Carlos Ferreira. And Carlos, the tennis player, loves his team, is so supportive of his team. And the fact that his coach won this year, and how humble and sweet that Carlos was in his coach Carlos also winning and giving him, all the flowers that he deserves.
He's super humble.
Super humble.
He is a great he's definitely great for the sport. He's
a great steward of the sport. I know that he's playing a game. Him and Rafael Nadal will be playing, I want to say, in like a week or so. So it'll be interesting to see that. And then
Nadal winning that Grand Slam again was a major surprise as well. Good for Mr. Nadal, someone that we also love and champion.
And so we're really excited. As you know, tennis has been over in terms of like all the really big matches, but it'll start back up again next month with 3 or 4 tennis matches that'll be in January, and obviously the big one being the Australian Open. So we cannot wait to see who comes to the forefront.
Who makes tennis rackets, Kimmie?
A lot of people make tennis rackets, but who are you talking about?
Wilson.
We're fans.
Wilson is someone that we're giving an award to from Voted.
Oh, I like how you snuck it in there.
You can read more about it at voted.io/awards. That's VOT3D.io/awards.
You have anything other nuggets, or are we going to move on to the next topic?
I don't want to spoil why.
Okay, he doesn't want to.
I think they heard of Wilson, but Wilson's cool. Wilson makes some stuff that you should use.
And they have fun clothing too. We love Wilson. And so we're moving on to travel.
Tom Hanks likes Wilson too.
Yes, we're moving on to travel. So I have two topics that I'm excited to talk about. So the first one is, once again, coming out of the pandemic, people were like, well, what's up with travel? What's going to happen? Like, how is this going to be? So my first topic is, this season has been the trend of go big, spin big. With so many people that had to be like in the parts of the world that they were in, having major wanderlust and living through like their old vacation trips in their mind, many people, regardless of where you live, have just decided, screw it. My savings account is going to this trip. I'm going to live large because you don't know when the next one is going to be, and just do it.
Trip now, pay later.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
And so, in the industry, they call it go big, spin big. So people are really delving into take that trip to the Maldives and don't cheap out at the rando, whatever place. Do this over here. And like people are just having their moments. And so I think, we do sometimes live in a society where we think about things and we're like, yeah, we should do this. And one day it'll be whatever. Well, under go big, spin big, that's not what's happening. And the other big time.
Very, very YOLO, huh?
It's a very YOLO moment. And in tandem with that, people are noticing the rise of the friendcations. So basically friends that you've always been connected to, maybe friends that somebody lives in LA and somebody else lives in, wherever they live on the other side of the country, decide, you know what, we haven't seen each other in a while. Let's just get together. So this rise of friendcations, people going halvesies and everybody throwing money into the pot to once again, go big, spin big, but doing it with friendcations, especially with people that they haven't been able to be in close contact with for a long time. And so it looks like the trend is that this is going to continue on for a very long time. So that's like my big two items. And I have some shout out awards that I guess much like what Paul has been doing. You can go to voted.io awards.
How do you get to that link?
Paul's going to share how we get to that link.
VOT3D.io/awards.
So I will shout out one that I'm a huge fan of, and then you can go see well, can I say two? Because I like them so much.
You can say as many as you want, as long as it's 4 or less, because we gave out 4 awards.
Okay, well, I'm going to say 2, but I'm going to challenge you to go find the other 2. Ritz-Carlton is a fave of mine. I have been a longtime fan of Ritz-Carlton. Whether you do it as a staycation, whether you do it, because you're traveling to some other different place. I love the teas that are there. I love just how opulent you feel when you walk in there. We were recently at the Nomad location here in New York, and the bar area was just so nice. And I felt like a botanical forest that we had just walked into with the library books and the amazing cocktails.
What was that one appetizer you loved?
They have an olive, but it's not an olive. It's a gelée olive. And so it has the form of the olive, it has the taste of the olive, but then you put it in your mouth and it just dissipates.
Like an oyster in a way.
It is so, anyone who knows me knows I have a whole thing about textures and stuff, and I didn't even mind it because it was so tasty. I also want to shout out, which we included them in an issue last month, Femme Wines. You can actually buy wine in a glass, basically, or buy the glass when you're there. So being able to have a rosé drink that is made by women-owned producers, the founder is woman-owned, and having her wines along with their tasty nibbles, so good. The other one that's a shout out is the Tao Group. I love Tao properties, whether you're talking about, restaurants that are in their hotels, standalone restaurants. I mean, I can think of copious times, whether I was in Vegas or here in New York at a Tao restaurant, like how tasty it is. We've also worked with them for a number of the shoots that we've done.
I was going to say shout out to Tao for helping us out through pre, post, and during pandemic stuff. And just being super solid. So they see the value in us, and we've liked them before we even started this venture. And when you hear Tao and you're part of any Tao property, um, I've had a great time.
It's always a good
I've
time.
had a great experience. I've had quality food and beverage, quality service. They design each place in a way that is both high luxury and also makes you feel like you're special.
And it's just the convergence of what you're seeing, what you're eating, like everything just aligns. Like, it's going to be a great night. Even if you're like, oh, let's just go there to get a drink, it ends up being epic no matter what happens.
Yeah, no one's ever jumping on you either. It's like you go at your speed. Obviously you can't go and order a water, but you gotta be a decent customer. But like I've really enjoyed it, and I'm again thankful for several times that we kind of discuss various things that we did with them, and hopefully they loved what the end results have been.
And so that closes out the travel section. And so, I feel like I've been chitter chattering away. Why don't we delve into politics? I know you have some fun stuff that you want to share on that end.
Let's do that. We also want to talk about politics and political issues at VOT3D IO. Politics is an important issue. It's something that a lot of people look at and care about, and it's something a lot of people avoid. And I think it's important to understand what's happening both in the US and what's happening globally. And also, it's important to understand what politicians are saying and what rising stars are saying, what parties are saying, and what people are doing, and to figure out if what your values are and what you want aligns with them, rather than just rubber stamping things and just going with the flow or listening to bad information online, because increasingly there's stuff and conspiracies everywhere. So at this point, we really would like to point out that there's several organizations such as Rock the Vote and Ballot Ready and Color of Change. And we want to point out that you could find out when to vote, things that are issues that people are promoting and caring about, people that are addressing certain things or promising certain things. We will include that in our VOT3D IO so that we can help you navigate ways to be involved, because we think it's important that everyone at least considers being involved, and that people that are with strong opinion and want change, that they get their friends and family to also come out and be involved, because it's bigger than just one person. It's actually the whole country that we could figure out where we will go forward, especially if we could have younger vote, especially if we could have vote from people of color, especially when we could figure out that everyone is different and that everyone has a voice. We hope to showcase and highlight various organizations and issues to help you navigate that.
And, along with that, because of all the different things that have been going on, the enhanced need for wellness, which is our next topic, really started it's been a front stage, for everyone in various ways. But I think once again, with all the things that have been going on, that's taken an even higher level of something that we should also be putting into our lives, and that it's not just a secondary. So I have two topics that I think are really big that I want to share. You ready to hear what it is?
I was just thinking that political wellness is a term that there should be more of.
So there's this big trend of confluence of brand and spa. So that you have a lot of different brands such as Armani, Giorgio Armani, Times, St. Moritz, which is a really nice luxury ski facility. They actually just did a collaboration together where people can, purchase specific items at these really nice spas, as well as the hotel groups in very key locations, so that, you have these really curated assortments that are available. You have hotels like Miraval times Lexus that are partnering together, that when you stay at the Miraval Spa, you can actually have a driving wellness tour where they allow you to have the Lexus, and it takes you on a tour to varying places, because they know that a lot of times, which this is very much so what Paul does, he likes to think a lot when he's driving, because just being able to be on the open road, you're allowing yourself to think about things that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, or to.
It's really not true. I don't like to think when I'm driving, but with context changing, I'm able to take some subconscious parts and just, there are ideas that just form.
Well, studies show that actually a lot of people do this, and a lot of brands are really starting to understand that there is a better way to make partnerships that also give positive benefits to people's lives. A few years back, we actually stayed at Stowe in Vermont, where they gave us, well, we didn't use it, but you had the option that you could have like G-Wagons while you were going around. And I didn't know at the
I
time.
didn't know we had that option.
Yeah, the G-Wagons were literally sitting at the front, but we
That's when we
actually,
went snowshoeing and stuff. We could
yeah,
have taken a G-Wagon.
you could have taken a G-Wagon. However,
Well, we had the other thing though.
yeah, the reason why we didn't is because we actually had another auto company invite us to go there.
This is a big truck, right?
It was a big truck. It was a Denali, but once again, we were, interestingly enough, we had done various auto oriented trips that allowed us to immerse ourselves in another environment while utilizing that car. So even though that maybe is something that we've been used to, now from a consumer perspective, people are saying brands match to wellness, brands match to spas. It's a nice way for you to be thinking about the brand when you're not really thinking about the brand. So that's been something that's really big in the wellness space, to see how brands are figuring out how they can put it into their items, even though it may not seem like a perfect juxtaposition. The second one is just the concept of mental health, just in general, has been something where people feeling the need that they can reach out to get the resources or time they need away from something.
I was listening to stuff today. I heard that you can make a change for someone, or someone can make a change for themselves, but there's a tiny window or a small window where you just have to look for signs. You have to see if people you care about are acting a little differently, are not, you don't hear from them, you check in on people a little bit more, maybe don't tell them why, and probably don't tell them why.
Yeah.
And just keep people more in your journey, because at the end of the day, you can make a difference, and people can make a difference from themselves if they feel that they're not themselves. But the window is not infinite. So it's important to look at tiny signs and just see if they repeat, to talk to someone about it. And more often than not, you're going to feel that there's other people out there experiencing similar things, and you'll get through it. And at the end of the day, it's a very important issue that the country and the world is facing.
And, once again, you can go to, Paul, give them that link for the awards.
You go to VOT3D.IO/awards.
And I'm only going to share one of the four, but there are four. Breathwork is an app that I've really, really enjoyed. I'm not a great meditator. I am a very type A person, so I'm not really good at that. But I do like that this app allows you to work on your breath, even do fun challenges, because I am a competitive person. I like knowing, I can hold my breath for X amount of seconds. I can do it for this, and that. And you can also do it with your community. And I like the fact that you can take a moment out of like the million things that you're doing, because even if you can only do something for 30 seconds, or you can do another thing for like a minute or whatever it is, you're giving yourself like a little bit of a shutdown break. And you're also competing with yourself, which is like two blends that I kind of like together.
But you are a sore loser.
I'm a very sore loser. The other day, I couldn't hold my breath as long as I did the day before. And I was like, to myself. So moving on, we're going to talk about style. I'm very excited about the two topics in style.
When are you not excited about style, Kimmie?
But this style is going to be like a little different.
Look at your face. You're already happy. Talking about style.
And we know I love style because, yes, I'm also a fashion stylist. Yes, I'm an accessory expert. Yes, I love a good interior. So to my love of a good interior, People who've been reading us for a while know that I am all about Hygge, which is all about, warm spaces and cozy spaces. It's a whole Scandinavian aesthetic. The new trend this season is Japandi. Japandi is a stylistic aesthetic that takes modern Japanese design with Scandinavian minimalism.
How do you spell it?
Japandi, Japandi. So there's Scandi and you have Japan, Japandi. So it is the most beautiful.
Does the Japanese culture appreciate the term?
Yeah, it's actually been brought on, like it's been around since the 1800s apparently. But with the revitalization of certain types of, like if you're a huge Marie Kondo fan who's all about like only having things that bring you joy and being able to secure them in small spaces, like Japandi actually works. The Japanese aesthetic and the Scandinavian aesthetic comes together. It's like the perfect Hygge baby to the next level. I love this. Just look it up. You can see it in your interiors. It will definitely flow through to food. It'll flow through to like apparel that you have on. So like watch this trend. Like it's existed for hundreds of years, but people just got caught on. I'm sure you can have elements of it that also merge with cottagecore, which is a whole other situation. And the other one I want to talk about,
what was the style element there?
The style. Okay, so style, when people say style, it doesn't just mean clothing, it also means your spaces. So Japandi focuses on, you're not going to have like a mid-century chair in your room. There's going to be this modern, sleek, clean. It's a spacing element along with like certain types of layering. So if you talk about Hygge style, which is very Scandinavian in nature, you're talking about the knotted blankets. You're talking about, a warm cup of cocoa that's tucked away in a little chair, like
no, we're talking
right. And then you bring in sleek lines and modern, so it's like this beautiful juxtaposition that works really, really well together. And just search it, you'll find tons of different things. Also neutral colors, because both of those aesthetics deal in neutral, so you wouldn't really have Hygge or Japandi or any of those two separately that have like neon colors. It's just not, because it's about warmth and comfort and just coming into yourself. So that's the stuff. The second one is I am all about fibers and sustainability. The newest trend is omni fiber. So omni fibers are extremely non-traditional. These are fibers that are worn that actually allow your body to activate itself with haptic touch and other types of things. They are natural fibers, but they help do something, depending on what it is that you're looking for it to do. So when you think about breathable fibers, you have cotton, you have linen. This makes your skin feel good, but they're not doing anything to your skin. An omni fiber, on the other hand, is on your skin, but it's doing something. Maybe it's knitting your skin together even more so than like just wearing an 8x8 spandex that tucks your tummy in. This is actually doing something that helps biometrics in your own body while still being breathable living fabric. I think this is a very nuanced type of thing. It's probably going to take 10 years before it's really like doing whatever, but there are elements of it in a lot of athletic clothing when you're talking about professional players. Like obviously it's really expensive right now because that really hasn't been harnessed the way it should be harnessed, but it's something to really look at. I know a lot of people at MIT and other places are looking at it, and what that means for like how the industry is going to take it on, because Tercel 50 years ago wasn't a thing, and now Tercel and Tensel is in like everything. So this is something that I think is really going to make its way, especially when it starts having more like scientific bases that they can prove different things with it, so people can get funding, and it'll just become just as much as any other type of fabric that wasn't considered like a fabric we would use, like bamboo cotton and banana leathers, which is literally bananas that are pressed to create leathers so that you have a sustainable vegan version of fabrication. So just keep looking out for these new types of fabrics where we don't have to like be pulling from the environment per se.
Now, if these fibers are dynamic or adaptive, why are they saying omni?
I'm not quite sure where the term came from. Google and search it out. But it's interesting.
Well, okay, all right. It's reaching far though. It's just like, you think is omni is going to be a Swiss Army knife fiber for 10 uses?
Well, because okay, So I guess more to that concept of personalization and what that means by
It
industry.
could be anything, any one or more things.
Right. It
Right.
could be like someone who they need. I'm not saying this is what it does, but what they're essentially trying to do is, let's say you have 3 or 4 different conditions,
Mhm.
there would be a certain way that that fabric is wefted or done to do multiple things.
Mhm.
But the technology is so new. So I'm not saying, oh, you can go over to fill in the blank to get it, but it's something that people are putting a lot of money behind. And there are people utilizing some of this.
That's
So,
cool.
and so
With all the meta and digital innovation coming down the pike, it's nice to see physical
mhm.
and IRL stuff as well. And they shouldn't be overlooked like a lot of people in tech do.
So there you go. And so the merit of excellence that I want to shout out to, we do have 4, but I'm going to say one
Mhm.
is Camilla. The clothing line Camilla has been a brand that I have loved for years. I have a caftan.
I know that caftan.
He knows that caftan.
Beautiful. It's really beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's luxury. It's amazing. Camilla has beautiful pieces. There really is a Camilla as the designer and the founder who battled breast cancer and has survived it. If you watch The White Lotus, the second season, and even the first season, a number of her prints are actually included throughout both seasons, but more specifically, the party scene in the second season, Camilla herself was actually in the episode. She made pieces that were specific to that show, as well as things that came from her assortment. I love how, she just has such a vibrance and a fun to it. I love the fact that even though a lot of the pieces may look like they are swim resort specific, they can actually be worn like over jeans, this one and that one. I've actually styled her pieces in a number of our different shoots that we've had. So I wanted to give her an award in excellence. And if you're out in Australia, which is where she's based, she's actually been on a number as a host, a number of like style oriented shows. Like she's just amazing.
And if anyone's sleeping on the White Lotus, we're going to tell you right now, even though we highlight certain things in Voted IO, we also will give you additional things in our details. And the White Lotus is something that we definitely recommend. Season 2, you could watch it. Season 1, it's best to start from scratch and then, binge your way out. But we loved it. Congratulations to the whole crew and cast for that. It was just amazing.
And season 3 has been greenlit.
Is there going to be people coming from 2 over to 3?
You have to listen. So Mike White is the writer and creator of White Lotus. Many of us know him from Big Brother and Survivor, which I believe he won his Survivor season. Mike White is an exceptional mind. I highly, highly suggest, especially for my podcast people out there, look up some of the episodes he's been doing on The Ringer and other types of shows like that. He's literally giving you the breadcrumbs of what's happening. You know that in White Lotus, his focus was
don't spoil anything.
I'm not spoiling that, but you know that in White Lotus 1, the focus was more so about Reed, and the second one was more so focused on like sex and relationship, whatever. So if you listen to some of the things that he's talking about, you can kind of guess what season 3 is going to be about. And also,
what's it going to be about?
People need to listen to the podcast episodes.
We have one word, like greed, sex.
So if you think about it, in my opinion, you have the 7 deadly sins, and I think he's just going to always glom on varying versions.
I've always thought are overlapping, but anyway, the score is banging too. I mean, that score gets stuck in my head often. I love it, first season and second season. And we recommend that as well. And
so we have our final pillar that we're going to talk about.
What's that, Kimmie?
It is luxury lifestyle.
Something that we advocate.
We advocate it, and I have 2 topics that I want to share.
What's that, Kimmie?
All right, topic 1, the Hotel La Palma. Do you know about the Hotel La Palma?
I do.
The Hotel La Palma was built in 1822. It was the first hotel in Capri. And they just did a major renovation. So it is the most luxe of the luxe of the luxe. Everyone is talking about it. It's super beautiful. And it's really nice to see when you have heritage items that are still able to do what they're doing. I mean, this place has been housing people for 200 years. And, they're still trying to keep up with the times and do amazing things. And they just finished renovations earlier this year. So if you're looking for go big, spin big, this would be a good thing that you could do here.
That's cool, but with luxury lifestyle, you don't always have to take the top.
You
You
do.
also can mix a high low.
You could mix a high low.
So
You could
keep in
do.
mind that you could do the best and also some of the best.
And my next one is the Michelin restaurants Michelin Guide.
And that's some of the best.
And that's some of the best. It is. They just shared their stars in October. New York City has 19 restaurants that had never had a star before, has a star. So if you don't know, like many of us know what a Michelin star is, but there's actually 5 things that Michelin looks for in order to obtain a star and to keep the star. So their focus is quality of ingredients, the harmony of flavors, mastery of techniques, the personality of the chef as it's expressed in food, and their cooking and consistency of the menu over time. So 19 people in New York City got it, and you can have a Michelin like all over the world. So if you want to be able to check out, and once again, maybe you're not interested in going to a particular restaurant, but it is good if you're in conversation that you can be like, oh, wow, so they just got on the list. If you don't need to count how many stars that they have, but it is kind of interesting as like a topic point that you can share that information. So those are like my top 2 things. I mean, I am a foodie, and obviously I'm the host of Athleisure Kitchen. So I am very interested in this. I love Michelin starred chefs. We've interviewed a number of them. I've eaten at various Michelin, restaurants. And so it's really exciting that there are people that are really thrilled that they were able to close the year with such a distinction. And with that, I want to give a merit and excellence award. Obviously, there's 4, but I'm only mentioning one. To Paul's point that you don't always have to do something high, although it's going to sound like it's high. Veuve Clicquot.
Oh yeah.
I love Veuve Clicquot. And what I really love about it is you can enjoy it on a day that ends in Y. You can enjoy it because you're at home and you don't want to be bothered. And you can also use it as a toasting thing. Once again, if everything in the past few years have taught us anything, it's that we need to celebrate when you can celebrate. And so there's no reason to store that champagne for that moment, fill in the blank, when it could be like, I got up out of bed today and I have matching socks.
If you have it, drink it, replace it.
That's right. That's right.
Get 2 more, drink it.
And so that, is our year in review in terms of like all of these great topics. These are great nibbles that you can talk about and see what happens with them, after this is over.
Yeah, when you listen to the ones we said and check out the ones we have online, of course, there's some that you're familiar with, and maybe some are new to you that you should try out. But at the end of the day, we hope some of it provides value. We hope some of it's entertaining, some of it's educational, and we will provide more shows coming out on a more regular basis to talk about pop culture, current events, luxury lifestyle, and wellness, and also hand out some more awards recognizing brand excellence in those fields and others. And at the same time, give out some giveaways, some treasure hunts, some social introduction parties. VOT3D IO is definitely a place that hopefully will become part of your weekly and monthly destination.
And, if you missed anything, want to circle back to anything, whether you're watching this or listening to this, on a podcast, you can always check the show notes, which will have links back to everything. It'll connect you to our newsletter. It'll connect you to the website. It'll connect you to, what we're doing next, what event we have going on. And we just really appreciate everybody coming to listen to us.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.